Well, good morning, everyone. Well, as more and more stuff gets released from Tulsi Gabbard's President Trump's declassification, and Tulsi Gabbard releases it to us, this should not be a shock for anyone who's been watching my videos or has been paying attention. But I've been saying for a long time that the church system needs to collapse. It needs to come down. And yes, I am a born again believer, but I'm a Bible based believer. I'm not a church believer. And yes, there is a difference. We have a lot of churches and a lot of pastors out there who are selling a bad message, the wrong message. And believe it or not, after I learned from the Tulsi Gabbard declassification, it is proven that pastors were on the Democratic payroll. Megan Bashan, who wrote the book Shepherds for Sale, about how preachers are being bought to teach a leftist agenda, has told us that in the Tulsi Gabbard reading of the declassified documents that Obama and Clinton were bribing pastors to endorse Hillary Clinton, and we're going to be promised federal funds and State Department protection if they endorse Hillary Clinton. Now here we are under this current administration. We had for a while, we had the Lyndon B. Johnson amendment, where if you dared endorse a certain candidate, you lost your religious tax exempt status. But as we know with the left, rules for me, rules for you, but not for thee. What's the phrase called? How the phrase goes? Well, basically, do as I say, not as I do. Now, we don't know which religious organizations were. I guess Megan Basham, the writer of the book, is going to do a FOIA request on that. But this should not surprise anybody. So the government was breaking their own rules as long as it benefited them. Ooh, my goodness, what a shock. This is what leftists do. But I can tell you right now, if you came out and supported the other candidate years ago in 2016, you would have had your tax exempt status removed, and they would have punished you, and they would have taxed your death, and they would have come up with all kinds of crap on you to destroy your church. And it just not. This doesn't just stop either at the churches. Apparently, they've been going on college campuses doing the same thing with religious groups, as well as Christian universities and other private universities who have a religious affiliation. Again, we don't know which organizations we have yet, but according to Megan Basham, who's on the Charlie Kirk show, she's going to get that FOIA request. And because the Trump administration is in charge, I'm sure this would be a lot easier than if this was under Joe Biden. So the way Jimmy Carter tried to do a quid pro quo with the Russians, and Brezhnev years ago to help him defeat Reagan, the leftist Democrats went to the churches to try to bribe the churches and break the Johnson Amendment, which I'm against, by the way, to support a certain candidate, meaning Hillary Clinton. Typical leftists, do as I say, not as I do. The political system is collapsing, has been collapsing, but right now, here comes the church system collapsing as well. And boy, I cannot wait. Because I have been saying, it's a big difference between being a believer in Jesus Christ and a follower and following a church. Most believers belong to a good church. but not all churches are good for believers, especially for ones that don't read their Bible. And it's quite evident that you have a lot of churches out there teaching a leftist LGBT pro-abortion agenda, which is what they were trying to get them to do. Don't forget, as I reported years ago on this channel, in my old channel, FEMA had a clergy response team. It was to get Christians to submit to the government, turn their weapons, and don't fight against the government, and take the old Charlie 19er in the arm, because that was the so-called Christian thing to do under the pastoral team. So those pastors were sellouts, and boy, if you know a pastor who works for the FEMA response team, you probably shouldn't listen to them. In fact, you should probably call them out. They cannot be trusted. Well, here you go. Here you go. More evidence of how the Democrats will love Christianity as long as you don't preach the Christian message, and will be willing to pay you off and maybe give you an expansion in that church, or be given Secretary of State protections by the White House, despite the fact the Johnson Amendment was there under the Obama administration, which only went for conservatives. I'm sure we're going to find out more down the road as everything is being released. As I said, the deep state will implode. Don't expect them to go nuts and release the fury to protect themselves. Comments down below. What's your opinion? Like to know? Keep the country in prayer. We'll talk to you later.